I'm Teaque Lenahan. I'm the group director for Fjord, Seattle. When you think about driver aids, intermittent windshield wipers were a driver's aid. You're not constantly flicking these things on and off. Automatic transmissions are a driver aid. Cruise control was, one way to take some load off of the driver. All these sorts of things were baby steps towards the driver doing less and less. I do think that people are slowly getting to be worse drivers. As things are taken away from people, they have less visceral knowledge of how that car works and how that car feels. If you can drive in a car that goes more slowly, conserves energy, gas or electric, is safer for other cars and pedestrians around you, takes up less load on the system of the infrastructure of highways and surface roads, if you can have all that and you actively turn away from it to, say, a Lamborghini Murcielago, gets 12 miles to the gallon, has horrible rearward vision, is a rolling piece of art perhaps, but completely irresponsible, you have to think that that alternative is going to be frowned upon. In this messy interstitial moment in between our own driven cars and autonomous cars, there's going to be this period where there are going to be certain lanes that are for autonomous cars. The autonomous future of cars will allow us to think differently about the way that we structure our work, when we do our work, and also where we work, and probably by extension, where we live. The connected space for vehicles is a complicated one. My biggest concern about how these cars are connected and the systems that drive those is probably related to safety. The hardening of the code that needs to go into these cars has to be pretty bulletproof. And working in software design and development, you have bugs. I know that. You go through a period of getting things out, getting some feedback from users and getting it back out to users and turning the crank on iterating that software. In cars, you can certainly do that, but the tension that I've observed from my experience with automakers is both a clash of the cultures of software development and car manufacturing. One goes rapidly in development, the other takes 5 to 7 years to get a product out. 5 to 7 years ago, our smartphones looked very different from they do today and the experience and things you could do. Those are the sorts of things that I get worried about. The digital exhaust coming off of your car is enormous. Where you're going, who you've called, what searches you're doing on the road, the kind of radio, other programs, other information that you're consuming as you go. Certainly quite a lot of data. Automakers and service providers, the opportunity there is for them to figure out, well, what do I do with all this data? How do I actually make sense of it? How do I make money on it? And from our standpoint, how can we actually make meaning from it for the end user, for the consumer?